being a shepherd. Bible says in the process of time it came to pass that Cain brought of the fruit of the ground an offering unto the Lord. And Abel, he also brought of the firstlings of his flock and of the fat thereof. And the Lord had respect unto Abel and to his offering. But unto Cain and to his offering he had not respect. Cain was very wroth, and his countenance failed. And the Lord said unto Cain, why art thou wroth? And why is thy countenance falling? If thou doest well, shalt thou not be accepted? And if thou doest not well, sin lieth at the door. And unto thee shall be his desire, and thou shalt rule over him. Well, Cain talked with his brother Abel, and it came to pass, when they were in the field, Cain rose up against Abel, his brother, and slew him. You ever felt like your brother and sister or sister want to take you out? You ain't the first one. Look at 1 John chapter 3, and beginning at verse number 11, John tells us why Cain killed Abel, his brother. 1 John chapter 3, beginning at verse number 11, John says, for this is the message that ye heard from the beginning, that we should love one another, but not on love like Cain. Verse 12, who was of that wicked one, and slew his brother. John says, and why slew he him? Because his own works were evil, and his brothers were righteous. Then it says, marvel not, my brethren, if the world hates you. If I have the potential to be hated by my own brother, I ought not be surprised when I'm hated by somebody else's brother. Even in the first family, we had some dysfunctional activity. Parents, you ever had a child and sort of came to the conclusion that something wasn't right about that boy, that girl? You couldn't quite put your finger on it, but something about them just wasn't adding up. They seemed to be a little peculiar in their behavior. Turn over to Genesis chapter 9. Let me introduce you to Noah and his boy Ham. Ham was a strange child. I know Ham was a strange child because Ham took pleasure in seeing his father unclothed. Genesis chapter 9 and beginning at verse number 18, and the sons of Noah, and the sons of Noah that went forth from the ark was Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And Ham is the father of Canaan. These are the three sons of Noah, and of them was the whole earth overspread. And Noah began to be an husbandman. That's a farmer, y'all. After Noah had spent all that time on the ark, finally got a chance to get off the ark, the first thing Noah did was plant him a vineyard. Oh, my friends, the Bible says, and he drank of the wine of the vineyard, and was drunken, and was uncovered within his tent. That's the reason why you ought to stay away from that stuff that will impair your judgment. Here is the daddy of three grown boys, and when daddy takes him a portion of the wine, daddy takes off all his clothes, lays out in his tent with no clothes on. That's what folk do when they get full of wine and other such drinks as wine. They start taking off stuff they ain't got no business taking off. You may have grew up in an environment Well, mama or daddy was just like Noah. They would get full of that oil and start to undress themselves. You were shamed because they would do things when they were full of wine that they wouldn't do when they weren't full of wine. But you as a child did have a choice as to whether or not they drank the wine or whether or not they stayed away from the wine. This was the lot that you were handed when you were born into this family. And many of our parents were just like Noah. They liked wine. Noah laid out in the tent. The Bible says, verse 22, and Ham, that's that youngest boy, father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father, and went and told his two brethren without. His brethren had sense enough not to look upon daddy's nakedness. Took a garment and laid it on both their shoulders and went backwards and covered the nakedness of their father. Their faces were backwards, and they saw not their father's nakedness. And Noah awoke from his wine and knew what his younger son had done unto him. He had violated daddy by looking upon his nakedness. They ain't just strange folk in your family. Noah had a strange boy in his family. All of us got some folk in our families that seem a little weird or unusual in their behavior. What I'm trying to show you is that when that's the case, you acknowledge them because they still your family. No matter how weird or strange they are, that's still the brother that I have been given. That's still the mother that birthed me. That's still the father that fathered me. No family is a perfect family. You ever felt like your children, once they get grown, think they know everything and won't listen to you no more? I mean, they done got to the point where they got a little hair up under their chin, and they got a few dollars in their wallet, and they think that they know that they know everything. You can't tell them nothing now because they in their own place, and they think that they done ride and they know what's best for them. Look at Genesis chapter 19. Let me introduce you to Lot and his boy. Genesis chapter 19, and beginning in verse number 12, these men, these angels came down to warn Lot about the pending destruction that was coming to Sodom and Gomorrah. Yes. They asked him, do you have thou here any besides? You got some son-in-laws and some sons and your daughters, and whatsoever thou hast in this city, bring them out of this place. We will destroy this place, because the cry of them is waxing great before the face of the Lord, and the Lord has sent us to destroy it. Bible says, and Lot went out and spake unto his sons-in-law, which married his daughters, and said, up, get you out of this place, for the Lord will destroy this city. But he seemed as one that mocked unto his sons-in-law. In other words, they wouldn't listen to him. They thought Daddy Lot was crazy, because he was telling them what to do that was right. When your children get of a certain age, they won't listen to you. You're telling them what's right. You're telling them concerning the pending destruction that's going to happen in their life if they continue on the path where they want to go. Right. They turn a deaf ear to you. You ain't the first one. Lot tried to save these daughters and the men that married his daughters, but he couldn't save them. Why? Because they didn't want to be saved. That's a bitter pill to swallow. When you're dealing with your own seed, when the dysfunction has occurred to the degree that you reach children that you cannot reach, it's a hurtful thing. It's a painful thing, but it's a realistic thing that happens in all of our families. Even those that did escape didn't do the most favorable thing. Because when you go on down to verse number 30, Lot